welcome back. My name is Chris Pulliam and I am a PhD chemist. And I received a request to do this video on a tutorial on fast Fourier transforms. Now, this might be a technique you haven't heard of a lot, but if you're in the signal processing area, whether that's analytical signal processing, IoT sensors, other things like that, where you're dealing with signals or machines that are vibrating and or fans that are spinning, but you're getting a resonant signal or resonant noise, you can use fast Fourier transform to convert that frequency signal into the time domain and actually get a peak. And so that's what I want to demonstrate through increasingly more complex situations so that you can first get an understanding of what FFT is and see how to apply it very easily with Python. So let's get started. So I'm going to use NumPy, matplotlib, and a couple modules from SciPy, the signal processing library, to perform the Fast Fourier transform. Let's simulate the data. So we're going to set a sampling frequency of 1000. We're going to have a 1 second signal, and then this will help us create our number of samples. Again, if we had a real data set, we wouldn't have to set this up, but this just makes it easier. And then we're going to use this numpy.linspace to create our time axis. And then let's apply a 50 Hertz signal as a pure sine wave. So again, things we're doing because we don't have data. Let's look at it. And the output looks like a very consistent sine wave. And so we are now in the time domain. And so when we perform the fast Fourier transform, we will convert this into the frequency domain, in which we will now have a peak. To do that, we're going to pass our signal into the fast Fourier transform, and then we can get the frequencies using this FFT frequency method there. And we only want the positive frequencies based on just how I'm going to parameterize this. And we can get the magnitude using this formula here and plot that data. And just like that, you can see we have our 50 Hertz signal. So now we're in the frequency domain. Our x-axis before was time in seconds. And now we have our frequency hertz on the x-axis and amplitude on the y-axis. And so we have a 50 Hertz signal. And so now we have a peak at 50 Hertz. So let's try to get closer to reality. We very rarely have a pure sine wave with no noise. And so let's add some noise. I'm going to seed my random number generator with 42. So if you want to screenshot this and take a look at it, it will work exactly the same for you. And I'm going to apply a fundamental frequency, a harmonic frequency, and a bearing noise. So imagine we have something spinning and we have some oddities in the manufacturing equipment. We're going to, again, continue with our simulation data and plot it so you can see what this data now looks like. Now, there should be 3 frequencies here. You could probably see maybe one of them there, maybe another one associated with some of these other peaks. But these frequencies don't exactly line up. We have the harmonics, and then we have this odd value there. And it's really hard as a human to see this. We maybe recognize a pattern, maybe don't. And this is where the fast Fourier transform really shines, where we have multiple signals overlapping, we have some noise, and we want to try to investigate what's going on. Actually, in mass spectrometry, this process happens at the back end. If you have an Orbi trap where we're actually looking at ions passing across the detector, we would then perform a Fourier transform and convert those the time domain into the frequency domain and get the master charge of those signals. Fun fact, fun to me maybe. So we will do the same thing. We have our signal from the sensor, and we will get the magnitude in the same way as we have before and plot the data. When we plot that, you see we now have our 3 frequencies. We have our 25 Hertz, we have our 50 Hertz, and we have that 113 Hertz signal as we demonstrated here, as we set up here. And this is one of those benefits where with a single function, we're able to do quite a bit to clean up this data and get something that's really useful. So this could be very diagnostic in some cases, or this could actually be the signal we're really wanting for more downstream analysis. Now, one of the things, particularly when you have noisy data, and this is still maybe cleaner and than what you might see in some cases, is you get the skirting, you get some artifacts around the base of these peaks that are just a known mathematical phenomenon when you start using Fourier transforms. And so there are approaches to getting rid of this skirting. There's all sorts of other secondary signal processes we could apply, one of which is windowing. So we're going to window with this Hann method there. And we don't really need to go too much into how it's operating. There's all sorts of other deeper dives into it. But I do want to show you the trade-off when you start trying to address the skirting in this data. Again, imagine some cases where it's actually more pronounced. We can clean a lot of that up with just a single function, and then we just replot our new windowed data. And here's the original figure. And here we have with the windowing applied, the peaks oftentimes get a little bit wider, but we generally improve the signal to noise slightly because we now address the rising signal around the baseline of these peaks. So in that case, sometimes in this case, maybe it gets a little bit lower because we've broadened it, but generally speaking, this helps, especially in more real world examples. And this isn't very well optimized. I just sort of applied one of the operators, but we could have tried several others in this case, but I just at least want to show you this technique. It's a bit more advanced, but worth having in your signal processing back pocket. Now, of course, there are cases where we go from something that looks like this to having some nice peaks to then wanting to do peak picking, right? Like now you can see how we apply a couple of methods and we build our own pipeline. And so also with SciPy, we have the signal processing and find peaks method, which we have discussed before. And with a little bit of code, this is truly not too bad. Most of the heavy lifting is done here, where we're looking at the magnitude. We set a height threshold and the distance between the peaks that we want to not go smaller than. And we plot it, and using the for loop here, this PLT annotate, we're just going to label where those peaks are. And you can see where with this approach, we now have our peaks. Now, let me do something before. Let's say you do this with other data and you see something that looks more like this. What would you want to do next? I'm not going to show it, but in this case, if you do all of this work and you get here and you see all these peaks, you definitely want to start looking at how do we improve the signal to noise? How do we smooth out this baseline? Because there are other artifacts here that may not actually belong to the signal we care about. And we want to start looking at ways to either do some time resolved averaging. We want to apply a Savitzky-Collet filter. We want to do some derivative filtering, other things that can really improve this. And now you have processes all in Python, all using the SciPy library to do a lot of signal processing. I hope this video was helpful. If there are other signal processing techniques you want me to demonstrate, I'm more than happy to do so. Just leave me a comment either on a YouTube video or on LinkedIn. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.